Matt. Fight night picks, UFC Raleigh, 2-minute predictions. We're going to spend 5 minutes on our main event, but before we get started, and this is our first fight on the prelims, I just want to say, listen, last weekend, Matt, you went 6 for 11, I went 7 for 11. Not a great showing last year, 101 for 161 and 110 for 161. That's just kind of a long-term prognosis of what you're getting yourself into. Now, Matt, typically what we do for these fight night cards is we don't really spend a whole lot of time on the prelims. We focus more or less on the main card, but I think it's special to start off on the right foot for 2020. We did it for the pay-per-view, and there were so many of you that joined us here on YouTube last week that we're going to get into the prelims. We're also going to have a Bellator 238 breakdown on this channel as well. You're going to find that tomorrow. But Matt, without further ado, let's get into our first 2 minutes on the first fight on the prelims. We have the Blaze, Herbert Burns, taking on the Train, Nate Landwehr. And Matt, I've known about Nate Landwehr for a long time. I mean, you're trying to study up on some of these guys in the regional scene in the States. A lot of them had fought Nate Landwehr, and he hasn't lost a fight in over 4 years. That last one to a guy, Mark Chirko, who ended up fighting on the first season of Dana White's Contender Series, which Herbert Burns, a guy coming in from the Contender Series this past summer, a great win on there to propel him into this opportunity. But Nate Landwehr went over to Russia, which sometimes it works well for guys and sometimes it doesn't. He ended up becoming the M1 Global Featherweight champ.
Worked out pretty well.
Hey, it worked out pretty good for him. So he got the win there, battled the Mountain 7. And in that fight, I actually watched it live. It was crazy because the champion was given plenty of opportunities by the referee to continue on in the fight. But Landwehr won the fight by TKO, a great win there. He was able to defend the belt as well. So he's making his UFC debut. He's taking on Herbert Burns. Matt, what can you tell us about the Burns camp?
So basically, everyone would probably know his brother, Gilbert Burns, one of the best fighters on planet Earth. And Herbert is very much like a green Gilbert Burns. Gilbert, earlier on in his career, he wasn't able to he had skills as a striker, skills as a grappler, skills as a wrestler. He just struggled to kind of put them all together and make them blend. And that's kind of where Herbert is at this point. He's a phenomenal grappler. It's just his striking, as you see with Gilbert Burns, the more that he has fought in MMA, it's just the evolution of his striking. Because at this point now, Gilbert Burns is not only one of the better grapplers, he's one of the better strikers in his weight division. He hits really hard. He's very fast. Herbert hasn't really developed that skill just yet because he is much more green in his MMA career. But as a grappler, he's as good as it gets.
That's the thing, too. Herbert Burns, 31 years old. Nate Landwehr, also 31. Both of these guys have a lot of experience, so they're at a good spot in their UFC careers. We saw it with Alexa Kammer at UFC 246. He was definitely green. Maybe it was a little bit too early. Just a quick one here. The odds on this one, Burns a -105, Landwehr -115. Very close, almost par odds. And over on Tapology, out of the votes, there were 694 people that have voted on this fight. 69% went with Nate Landwehr, the former M1 Global champ. That's the way that I'm going to go as well.
So
but I think the ceiling might not be too high on either of these guys. Yeah, they might have been good on the regional scene. I don't know how it's going to translate out into the UFC.
The key to victory for Herbert Burns, though, is going to be try to get taken down and then sweep off your back. Because he's probably not going to be able to take Nate down, and I don't think his striking is nearly at the level of Landwehr. So he's going to have to try to initiate the grappling sequences, but I just don't think he's going to be able to be enough.
All right, Matt, that's our first prediction for UFC Raleigh. You're not going to want to miss the rest of those predictions for the prelims and for the main card here on YouTube with Fight Night Picks. Matt, let's get into it.